Okay, good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun to Lean On. Tonight's Siman is Siman Kufpei, 180. The last halacha talks about an interesting halacha, which is not brought down in the Gemara, that when you bench, you're supposed to cover a metal knife. I mentioned the regular shir. I asked my posek, my rabbi, Rabbi Yaakov Friedman. He said only a very sharp, jagged paring knife or something like that, which you can potentially stab yourself with, which is one of the reasons, right? There's two reasons brought down in the Mishnah Brura why you have to cover it. One of the reasons is because someone has stabbed himself when he got to Bonei Yerushalayim and he remembered the Korban. So don't have a knife that you can potentially stab yourself. The other reason, metal knives, not necessarily a sharp knife, is because your shulchan is like a mizbeach, and therefore you're not supposed to have metal near the mizbeach. Build the mizbeach with metal, have metal near the mizbeach, because metal make weapon out of metal. Those knives, guns potentially out of metal, and therefore it's makatzer yom shel adam. Mizbeach elongates your life, bringing kapara through the korbanos, and the knives shorten your life, so they don't go together. So therefore, it would apply to any metal knife. So I mentioned the regular shit. I asked my Rabbi Yaakov Friedman. He said, no, even I used to even take off plastic knives. I saw the halacha, even those plastic, the little knives that break in a half a second. He said, no, the halacha is only a really sharp knife that you have to cover, and on Shabbos and Yom Tov you don't have to cover it. The reason he told me that a really sharp knife is because the second reason doesn't apply if it's not sharp. Even though it's metal, it's not sharp. The second reason doesn't apply. This is a minhag. You really need both reasons. Shabbos and Yom Tov, the reason doesn't apply. Even though the first reason still applies, right? You bring korbanos on Shabbos. There's an idea you shouldn't have metal near the mizbeach on Shabbos also. So you shouldn't leave your challah knife. You shouldn't leave it exposed. But you're allowed to on Shabbos and Yom Tov because the second reason doesn't apply. Why does the second reason apply? Because there's no avelos on Shabbos and Yom Tov. You're not allowed to be knowing avelos, show avelos on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So therefore, a person, just like on a dead person, they wouldn't, or a relative that died, you wouldn't have avelos on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So therefore, you shouldn't have avelos on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Even Tisha B'av, right? Tisha B'av, we don't fall on Shabbos and Yom Tov. If it falls on Shabbos and Yom Tov, you push it to the next day because you can't have avelos on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So therefore, we're not worried. Even if you have a sharp knife, no one's going to stab themselves because they're going to remember, hey, there's no avelos on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Even though the korban on bias is bad, but Shabbos is a happy day. Yom Tov is a happy day. Now, what about Chol HaMoed? So I have the Dirshu, using it a little bit over here. Rav Chaim Kanievsky rules that Chol HaMoed, you have to cover the knife. Now, as I mentioned, that really need both reasons, right? You need both reasons to apply. So, a Chol HaMoed, why is Chol HaMoed different than Shabbos and Yom Tov? Chol HaMoed also, there's no Avelis on Chol HaMoed. You're not going to be knowing Avelis on Chol HaMoed also, right? Just like Shabbos and Yom Tov. If someone dies on Chol HaMoed, right? You start counting the Avelis after the last day of Yom Tov. You don't want to start the Avelis in the middle of Chol HaMoed. So there's no Avelis in Chol HaMoed. So, and like I mentioned, you need both reasons to apply. So therefore, I think on Chol HaMoed, also you should be allowed to leave knives exposed because a person is not going to stab himself, even though the first reason applies. But that reason applies on Shabbos and Yom Tov also. So that's what I have to say about this. That's according to Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and I'm arguing on Chaim Kanievsky. It's obviously someone big to argue on, but it makes sense to me on based the reasons given and the shaila I asked to another rabbi. So I would say that rabbi would probably say that in Chol HaMoed it would be okay to leave a sharp knife exposed. Hope you enjoyed tonight's share. See you on the next one.